Hey, and welcome to Fit Me Turo Fitness Podcast, a podcast for people who want to get no BS information about fitness and know that fitness is about so much more than losing scale weight. It's about feeling confident in your skin and empowered in your life. I'm your host, Turo Virta, personal trainer, strength and nutrition coach, and most of all, a husband of my beautiful wife, Miriam. Each week, my guests and me will give you some no BS fitness tips and motivate you to take action in your own personal fitness journey as we talk about nutrition, exercise, mindset, personal development, and executing in life with enjoyable but still effective strategies. If your goal is to look better, feel and be strong and experience transformation from inside out, you, my friend, are in the right place. Thank you for jumping in, and now let's jump into today's episode. Hey, and welcome back to Fit Me Through Fitness podcast. If you are a hockey player or a coach, this one is for you. So today I'm sharing the exact off-ice training blueprint I use to help hockey athletes to peak at the right time, just as the on-season begins in late summer. So this is, we are talking about strength, speed, stamina, and the right kind of mobility work to stay healthy and sharp. So if you are starting off-ice training in April or May, this episode gives you a structured, athlete-centered roadmap that builds performance step by step. So this is exact blueprint what I'm using with my ice hockey players to make sure that they are working on all elements. And of course, this is just a blueprint. There is always individual variations that apply for individual goals, what you are working towards. But as a blueprint, this has been working very, very well within the past years. I have been doing it myself with my athletes, and feedback has been just amazing. So because this is something like if you know a little bit about me, I used to be a ice hockey player, professional myself too, but at the time it was working out off season, off ice season, in a summer season workouts we were doing. Even I was lucky to be in Finland, where was at the time was education was very good. I was lucky to work with one of the best strength coaches I have had. We had Jaakko Kailajärvi, is a former weight lifter who was actually making a world record, and I really learned a lot. But at the time, we unfortunately, of course, at the time there was not so much science. It was more like kind of knowledge what you used for weightlifting, and then you did basically the same workouts than you use in regular gym goers, or just to build strength. And obviously, you were building strength, but it was not specified for ice hockey and what it needs. Of course, there was something, but things have changed so much. And it was at the time, nobody talked about mobility work or recovery, or it was kind of doing everything what you need, because sports like ice hockey, it's a very difficult sport to train, because there is so many things you need. And because you need pure strength, you need speed, you need conditioning, you need skills. So there is all kind of elements what you need. But the problem is that if you try to train everything at the same time, it's not the most effective way to try to do everything. It changes a little bit when you go on season training, because you don't have because main focus is on your games and recovery. So during the season, you kind of try to do everything a little bit, and at least to maintain everything, because making progress is not the main focus is on games, and making progress is getting harder, but at least to maintain everything. So this is this episode I'm giving you that roadmap, how to create that periodization and why it matters. So because that random workouts, they don't build that elite performance. And off-ice training needs to have a clear progression. And so you have to, first step is always building the base. Then you try to add complexity. What is usually it's on ice, like those specific skills what you need on the ice, and then next step is converting that strength what you have built into speed, and then putting in the end that conditioning what you will be needing on a games. So when hockey season starts, usually it's in at least here in Europe, it's in August, September, and you want to feel fast, explosive, and ready for repeat shifts, not just being fit but powerful. So this is I have built a 5-phase off ice blueprint. So I'm going to break down the monthly focus for each phase, and for how you can structure your weeks. So first is always where I like to start. Like, of course, there are different kind of approaches, but this is what I have seen that is working the best, and this is the blueprint what we are going to use. As I'm strength and conditioning coach for women's national hockey team, Italian, and we are preparing for Olympics. We have big year coming up, so Olympic Games in Milano Cortina, so home Olympics for athletes, and we are going to start in beginning of May. And so if you are someone who is starting in April already, this is more or less the same principles. Of course, those times might be a little bit different, but this is the blueprint what we are going to use also preparing for the Olympics. So like I said, of course, there will be some individual variations based on goals what each individual have, but basics are going to be the same. So first phase is always strength phase. So focus is going to be on heavy lifting, like just the basic exercises, squats, deadlifts, presses, and repetitions are in this phase are low, rest is long. And usually what I like to use is that you're going to have 3 lift days and 2 to 3 mobility days, because what is the disadvantage with the strength is that always it makes you kind of a little bit stiff, and mobility work is then keeping your joints more kind of that you have that greater range of motion, and that also that you are not losing all your movement patterns, or those that you are not getting too stiff, because that is often like when you are lifting heavy that you start to feel that now you get stronger, obviously, but then at the same time you don't want to sacrifice that flexibility and mobility from your joints and from your muscles. So, and plus also mobility work is a amazing tool to keep your recovery, because I used to be like that, more working harder. That is the kind of attitude for what I see that many hockey players still have, that you have to work out, you have to be exhausted after the workout, or good workout means that you are feeling tired after. And especially this is often what I hear from feedback when you do heavy lifts, focusing on strength and building that basics, that workouts, they don't feel you are not exhausted. You have long rest period, and you need to have that long rest period, because if you don't have that rest period, then it means that you could be using heavier weights. And that is like just especially for women's side. Women are a little bit different than men in this side. Like most of the women, they don't want to take those rest times, because they think that why I should rest. I'm okay to go for the next set. I don't need that long rest. And that is exactly the mistake, because if you don't take that long rest, you are not able to use as heavy weights as you would be able to use if you take that longer rest time. And that is the hardest thing to do for hockey players. I used to be the same, and especially women, many of them are scared of using heavy weights. And if you are not pushing yourself hard enough, you are not going to see as good progression as you would see when you push yourself harder, take longer rest, and then repeat it. So that is the basics for the beginning. And then the next phase, kind of phase two, what is like if this plan is starting in April, next phase would be then in May, and that is what I like to call is a triphasic strength. So it means that it's you have kind of only 2 weeks focusing on different kind of uh, elements of strength. So week 1 and 2 are isometric holds. So for example, post squats or holding that weight in the middle of the pulling exercises. And then week 3 and 4 are concentric power. So fast lifts, lower reps. So and that is a great time to focus on controlled intensity. And the goal with this phase is to teach your body to absorb and produce force efficiently. So then we move to June, and that is kind of what I call multiplanar strength. So it means that you are able to move in all directions. Like in a hockey, you have to be able to perform in all kind of directions. It's not just moving forward. You have to move sideways in different angles, but you have to also include those kind of exercises into your strength program. So exercises like lunges, all kind of with rotation, single arm presses, because hockey, you are playing it. You have to use a very much kind of single joint exercises, because you are not that was the mistake what we did in the past. It was just focusing on heavy barbell lifts and using bench presses, 2 leg squats, deadlifts. But if you think like ice hockey as a sport, it's you are going to play with you are basically never using 2 legs at the same time. You're using always other hand more than the other one. And so that's why you have to be able to move to all directions and quickly. So in this phase, it means that you have a higher reps. So you have more balance and more control, and adding kind of stick mobility and core work. So because the goal is to become strong in hockey relevant planes. So that is kind of the June phase. And that is often what you are kind of building that basis in the beginning. And then when you move to July and it's getting closer to that, when you go on the ice, it's time that you start to build that speed and power. So it means that fast lifts, short sprints, medical ball throws, and all kind of Olympic lift variations, plyo push-ups. So all kind of fast stuff. And usually volumes are lower, more rest, and but intensity is all out. So it means very short reps, but with the really, really high intensity and long breaks. So this is also I gotta tell story from myself, like why was I was never the fastest player myself. And probably the problem was that I knew that I need to train more speed and more sprints and kind of all jumps and stuff like that. But now I understand as a coach that at the time there was like a longer rest time, like a 2 minute rest. But then when I was doing sprint, I was like just a short sprint, let's say 10, 20 meters. And then, you are back and you feel you are as a hockey player. I was used to, like, I know almost all hockey players are that it have to feel that you are getting tired. So of course I skipped the rest and basically did those sprints because I just wanted to finish my workout. And and of course now when I with the knowledge I have now, I think back, I was like that. No wonder that you didn't get faster when you skip the rest, because that's the biggest mistake. What I see is that because you need, if you work like a higher reps and kind of circuit, you work on your condition. Rest is not important. That is time to push. But when you work on maximum strength, when you work on speed, in those phases, you need to have that longer rest time. And it's kind of counterproductive. What is the mindset of hockey player? Because you think that those are kind of easiest phases, but that is the time when you should be focusing on quality over quantity and intensity. So don't try to make those workouts feel that you are tired, because if your focus is to improve your speed and you feel tired after, you didn't work on your speed. So that is always something to remember, that and it's the hardest one, because you at least for me, when I was a hockey player, uh, when I work for speed, it's kind of boring to wait and think that I could be doing something else. If you want to do something else, keep that rest, add some mobility work during your break, during the time between exercises, because that is something you can always be doing. So it's not that you are wasting time when you have 2, 3, 4, 5 minute rest. Because that was the funny story, was when I was uh, in a gymnasium in back home in Finland, and we had a different athletes. There were like sprinters who were doing athletics, and hockey players, and we were looking how they were. Of course, it was interesting to see how other sports are training, and they were doing like one sprint, resting, talking 5 minutes, and we were, as a hockey players, used to work really intense and feeling tired, exhausted after workout. And when we were looking those athlete like sprinters, they were doing one sprint, doing so long stretch. I was like, how the hell they are practicing that? This is nothing. This is wasting time. That they don't do basically anything. And we did some circuits and were exhausted after the workout. But now, if I think that if my goal would be, they knew what they were doing, but and we didn't know that much. So if I think now that I would be an athlete who likes to improve their speed, and I just go 20-meter sprint, walk back, another sprint, walk back, and that is the hardest part as a coach too, to have that patience and trust what you are actually doing, because it's so easy to not take that enough rest time and then just do sprints because you are maybe you don't have that much time or whatever. But you need to have, because it have to be that you have to perform with the highest possible intensity. Otherwise, it won't be you won't work on your speed. So be explosive and reactive, and think first step is going to be speed. So that is usually what I like to use in July. So first, kind of 3 phases is building the basics and strength, and then kind of adjusting that speed or that strength what you have gained to into speed. And then in August, when season is getting closer, it's time then to stimulate kind of that ice hockey fatigue. So that's the time what I like to use for using like kind of circuits, if you have access to sleds, interval runs, and maintaining that strength with 2 times per week, but lower volume. And goal is in this phase is to peak that repeat sprint ability and mental toughness before the preseason starts. And what is probably the most underlooked thing, what most people are not doing, is to always include mobility and recovery. So no matter what phase you are, you need to have mobility days and kind of stick work, those 90-90 for, especially for hips, which are often at least for me and many athletes I see, ice hockey, it's so one-sided uh, sport. So you will have some often issues on that your body is not exactly the same, because it's always, or most of the time, it's more one rotation than the other side. And to balance that your body, that it's not like in tennis, that if you are repeating same movements, or figure skaters are a good example also. They are doing a lot of jumps, sprints, but always on the same side, so you are not doing both sides. And that's why it's so important to keep your body balanced. And because otherwise you will have some problems, you might have some injuries. And that mobility work, you have to include it into your plan and in each phase. And good thing is with mobility is that you can do it basically anytime. So there is no, it doesn't matter how hard your workout is, you can always do after mobility, because it only helps you to recover faster. It doesn't matter. Those are great exercises to include for your warm-ups. If you work on speed or maximum strength, you can add mobility exercises into your, if you feel that those breaks or pause between the exercises is too long and you don't want to get that to take so long rest, add some mobility exercise there. Like, for example, you can work on your wrist, hips, shoulder mobility, whatever you need to work on. But those are, if you don't want to take, like, at least I feel always when I practice myself, that I have included one mobility day, only mobility, but often is that feels like that it need to be something more. But then often those are things that when you do them, you feel so much better. You are able to perform better, and it's something, because ultimately, if you think like that, it doesn't matter how strong you are. If you don't have that mobility in your joints, you don't get that all power out from your body. So that's why it matters. It's for example, if you lack mobility from your hips and you're skating, you are not getting that full range of motion. So it doesn't matter how strong, how fast you are, if you don't get your stripes with full range of motion. So it's a very simple way to add speed, add next element into your game when you can use full range of motion. So those are kind of before workouts, great things to do, like rotation, speed, activation drills. So making sure, because that is also like for your telling what you are telling to your nervous system, to see if there is some underlying issues which might cause that you are getting injured. So because if you get injured and volumes are too high, you don't include proper warm-ups, proper mobility work, it doesn't matter how good your program is if you are getting injured. So these small sessions keeps you healthy and increase quality of your lifts and movement. So that's kind of the plan, kind of phases what I'm using. Of course, single exercises. There is so many examples. So this is like kind of weekly structure what it could be in the beginning of the season. So example could be Monday, heavy lifts for lower body. Tuesday it could be mobility and core workouts. Wednesday, upper body strength. And Thursday would be light conditioning training. Friday, full body and a lot of carries. So you get the core work. And Saturday, Sunday, optional recovery or rest day. So that would be mobility work, something. So you are resting. So this is kind of uh, structure a little bit how it would work. And perform your best in September, your training needs from April needs that structure and progression. So don't train everything at once, train the right things at the right time. So I have I have created full plan. And if you want weekly workouts for each phase, just simply email me, turo@fitmeturo.com, and let's chat if I can help you with your planning. So talk to you soon, and thank you so much for listening. So, and never forget, train smart and skate hard. Keep smiling.
Hold up, friend. Do you love Fit Me Turo Fitness podcast? If so, the best way to say thank you is to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review on iTunes. I know every podcaster wants you to leave a review, but it's because those reviews help the podcast to reach more people. I truly want to know what you think, and if this particular episode resonated with you, would you also please share it? Either send a link to someone who you think will find it valuable, or take a screenshot and post it into your social media and tell your friends and family why they should listen it. Make sure you tag me so I can hear your feedback and give you a little love. And if you aren't already following me on Instagram or TikTok, that's the perfect time to hit that follow button. Thank you for being here and listening to Fit Me Turo Fitness podcast.